Just a short thing before this video starts, I realize that my channel has been dead for a couple of months, and that last video is pretty half-baked. It is for this reason that for each of the 12 days leading up to Christmas, I will be releasing one of these little videos. It goes without saying that I will not be recording and editing them on the same day that they are released. I have school. Well, I guess I don't have school on the 12 days leading up to Christmas, but you get the idea. Now, on with the video. Today's video is about a wonderfully innovative indie VR game titled T for God. I only have a vague idea of why it's called that, which I will explain in a moment. This game has lots of style and is lots of fun. I figure I should explain why it's called T for God now, because I said I would do it in a moment. You play as this sort of Australian-sounding guy who's had his wife and children murdered by a god emperor. That's pretty much the entire story, and your mission is to kill the god emperor. When you boot it up for the first time, the demo can be played wirelessly on the Oculus Quest 2 via App Lab. You are given the choice between two styles of gameplay, arcade and roguelite. I recommend roguelite if you hate yourself and don't actually want to get anywhere in the story. I recommend arcade if you actually like having fun and don't want to be caught going in circles constantly due to lack of directions. Roguelite is quote-unquote more focused on exploration, which pretty much means it doesn't actually tell you which way to go when you're exploring. Even the map data you collect doesn't tell you which way you need to go to progress, so often you'll just end up wandering around, having no idea what the various contradictory arrows on the walls mean. Arcade is actually quite fun, having you pick up weapons from fallen enemy robots, all of the enemies are robots, exploring the vast maze, and finding new types of enemies. I'm genuinely sad that I didn't find this game sooner, as it has one of the best traversal methods I have ever come across in VR. The way it works is, once you switch your Quest 2 on, you have to set a play area, right? Well, when the game starts, it registers your play area and generates a square area inside of that. Sometimes the square is barely scraping by the edge of your play area, which can break the immersion that the game normally provides by making this big old grid appear when you get too close to the border. You may be thinking, Daniel, why would you be getting close to the edge of your play area anyway? Surely you can just move around in-game and make sure not to move too close to your play area boundary in real life. Well, that's where the special traversal system comes in. When I first booted up T for God and, got into the game, I couldn't figure out how to move. Then I remembered the description of the game on the Oculus store. I took a step forward. My character did the same. This is how the game minimizes motion sickness, by making most of the movements you make in the virtual world be perfect copies of your movements in the real world. So when you walk around your play area, you walk around in the game, and that's just how you move. This makes for some incredibly immersive gameplay and some very tense moments, but also results in your legs getting tired after a while from the constant movement. You'd think the game would have to be very small scale due to the limitations of play space, but you would be wrong. The developer made use of mind-bending hallway design that defies description. You just have to experience it for yourself. It may not seem that incredible in the footage I have here, but when you already feel like you're really in these tight hallways, realizing that the tunnel you just walked through didn't exist from one perspective, yet does from another, it really messes with you. At least my tiny brain struggled with it. You wrinkly brains might be able to handle it easily, but it took my smooth mind a full 30 seconds to compute this. The story of the game isn't too bad, and it's got a voice actor who sounds like Horus from that one movie Gods of Egypt playing the main character, so that's always a plus. There are a lot of guns and upgrades in the game, and I don't have time to go into all of them in this video. There's an enemy that shoots at you, and another one that shoots at you, and these weird dog-like things that try to zap you, a bit like Hound Eyes from Half-Life. Then there's a big box robot that also tries to buzz you with zappy stuff. That also tries to buzz you with electricity. There are good robots as well, but none of them seem to actually help you with anything. except these little crab sort of robots, which you pick up and press the trigger button, and then when you drop them, they'll run towards the nearest enemy and explode, like those ticks from Titanfall 2. So this is where I talk about the bad parts of the game. So if you can't bear to hear criticism of a good game, just skip to the time code on screen. I won't be long. First of all, there's the enemy spawning. More than once, I would finish clearing an area of bad robots just to have 3 spawn directly behind me, or spawn right around a corner, giving me absolutely no time to react before getting jump scared by a non-horror game. I'm not really complaining about the scares, though. The occasional scares add tension and make a pretty easy game a bit more exciting and difficult. The main problem I have with this game is that when you step out of bounds even slightly, it takes you back to a hub area where it gives you vague directions on exactly where to be to snap back to reality, such as get lower or move left. That last part is probably just a nitpick, but it is rather annoying and immersion breaking to accidentally jump into a wall after getting jump scared with a bad spawn, and have all of the tension of the moment broken by move forward, get lower, on a black background. There it is. T for God is an excellent shooter, and would be even without the ultra-immersive movement mechanic. The graphics are nothing to write home about, while still being very good in their style. The story involves your family being murdered. The motion sickness countermeasure gives me more motion sickness when it's on than when it's off, and I honestly cannot wait for the full game to come out. T for God is free on the Oculus App Lab, and if you have a Quest 2, I cannot recommend it enough. See you tomorrow. Whoa. Okay, give me a second.